Hey, Maggie.
Yeah, we gotta do something.
I know.
Okay, cool.
All right.
You're busy now.
Yeah.
We're busy. Yeah.
I'll be down in a minute.
I mean, obviously, I'm busy now.
Hey, Sam, are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Hi,
Yeah. Good
welcome.
morning. Welcome to July. Sorry, go ahead.
It's afternoon already. I think the 12 o'clock bell went off.
So, all right. So here we are in July. This is it, right? This is, as you said.
This is the pinnacle of Hamptons summertime. I would imagine by the way the day falls on a Thursday. And,
What day is that?
Thursday is July 4th. The week will never really end, but it should really heat up starting tomorrow. And we'll be super busy straight through Sunday. And then, it's on for the next, till the college kids go back mid-August. I mean, we're sort of super steady. It's not like out of control yet.
Slow and steady wins the race. Oh, there's Trish, right? Trish
Yeah,
Burke?
yeah.
Oh, hey, Trish. Good, thank you. Eddie's wife. Speaking of Eddie, he was all over the news with Justin Timberlake. We haven't recorded since then. I mean, you refused to go on air that day.
Because, I want Justin to come and enjoy Sagtown.
I understand that, but
You know what I mean?
I wanted to promote the podcast on local news, and I did just that. I mean, they cut out
No, that was great.
every mention of the podcast in every interview they aired. Yeah, they just kept me basically judging and criticizing. And
Right, that's your
lambasting
deal. That's mine. You
Justin.
criticize restaurants, celebrities.
Yeah. But the funniest thing was one of the segments aired, I think it was News 12, and they showed me and then Billy Joel back to back.
That's
They
pretty
got
cool.
Billy Joel on the street, and he refused to comment. Anyway, so that was a major,
He's got some nice
major
folks here
event
in
in
town.
town. Another major event for me recently, I met Bethenny Frankel at the restaurant. I was
Hold on.
Okay. I'll continue. So I met Bethenny Frankel, huge fan of the Bee, and actually was invited. Well, not necessarily invited. I asked her if I could be a guest on her podcast, and she said no at first. And then I think she reconsidered at the suggestion of her daughter Bryn, and then she agreed to let me come on, and we recorded the next day. It has not aired yet. I think it's going to air sometime this week, but it was really a highlight for me to get to have a real meaningful conversation with her, and I got to promote the podcast. So hopefully by the time this airs, Bethany's podcast will have aired, and our show will have skyrocketed to the top of the charts. Unlikely that will happen, but I'm hopeful nevertheless. So really the purpose of today was for Shane and I to catch up. We've kind of been on different wavelengths. I've been super busy at Tuto. He's been super busy not only here, but also with Surf Camp, which started yesterday. And I had the privilege of joining them this morning just to kind of shadow Shane and his incredible team of instructors and see what Surf Camp is all about. Of course, I was also tasked with capturing beautiful imagery and content for social media channels, various, going well above the scope of my work. But I was just telling the audience about... No, I'm telling everyone about how I got to join you this morning for Surf Camp, which was really, really cool.
So listen,
I've been hearing you talk about Surf Camp for years, and I finally got to see it.
It's pretty neat, right? So today, specifically, July 2nd, was the most gorgeous beach day. Agreed?
Agreed.
There wasn't a drop of wind. The temperature was perfect. The ocean was a little chilly, but manageable.
So refreshing.
And
I jumped in.
Crystal blue like the Caribbean, and perfect little waves for those little kids, right? Did you see that?
It was great. And I just love how immersive the whole thing is. I love how you split it up into the different sections. It's all about connecting with the land and the ocean and your body and mind, spirituality, and then
it's all of it wrapped up in a one shell, right? Right from the stretching calisthenics to the meditation and yoga to the to community-based name introduction every day and what'd you have for dinner.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
I might get a wetsuit because I was the only
I got
one.
wetsuits for you.
You do?
Yeah.
I don't know if they would fit.
What size are you? I have a wetsuit that'll fit you.
The one you wore today was interesting.
Why?
Would you say that's how it's supposed to fit? Was it a little snug or no?
They have to be snug in order to
snug.
work, yeah. That's how they work. The tighter the better. That's an extra large short.
Okay.
It's actually a little big on me now.
It looks like Danny DeVito's costume from Batman Returns.
Thanks. I'll take that as a win. But today it was the lightest I've been on a scale, so I don't think that's fair.
Do you weigh yourself every day?
Yeah.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Do you want to share the number? do you want to tell everyone how they can enroll in surf camp? Because enrollment is still open, right?
Yeah, it's still open. We actually, the next few weeks, we have several spots. August is looking pretty full. You just go to flyingpointsurfschool.com. Everything's automated. It's pretty self-explanatory, and it's a really great program.
So this is basically our first official sponsor. It's your company, but I mean,
So
basically this episode is sponsored by.
This episode is sponsored by
Flying Point Surf School.
Flying Point Surf School.
We did get an actual sponsor, and what's his name? Maddie sent us a script.
Maddie Booch.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd be able to read it, so I just had an AI.
I could read it.
No, I think it's better with AI.
It has to be.
I think it's better with AI.
No, it has to be read. That's how all the podcasts, they read it. Thanks for listening, and this episode was brought to you by Flying Point Surf School.
We really have not had a moment to sit down and talk since the podcast has started to become more popular. So what kind of feedback are you getting from people? Are you getting
actually,
positive, negative?
people are really starting to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I got one of my favorite all-time customers came back, and he's told me he loved the podcast, and it was just so nice to see him again. And
who is that?
And that's Klaus. He knows the
Klaus
cast.
Abraham.
Yeah, he knows the cast of characters. He has a really interesting business. We should try to get him on one day. Maybe he'll come on. If you're listening out there, Klaus, please come on. We'd love to have a quick chat with you.
I've invited him already.
Because you have an international business, and you live here in North Haven. So I would love to have you on. Anyway.
Likewise. All right, so that's good. You're getting good feedback. Yeah. Would you say that you're getting recognized in town?
I don't know. I mean, everybody kind of recognizes me already, so I don't know if I could
Shane.
No, but I mean, it's literally.
What do they recognize you as?
Because they always see me in here working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. Let's just wish everybody a happy 4th of July. They'll be listening to this on Thursday, so happy 4th.
Oh, yeah. Happy
Stay
4th
safe.
of July, everybody.
Would
Be
you like
careful.
Why don't you transition us to Rob's interview?
Okay, just want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. We'll see. Sam was a little late in delivery last week. We apologize. I know some listeners were ready to listen.
A couple of hours late.
Yeah, I know, but people listen to it on their way to work and stuff.
Nobody works. Nobody that listens to our podcast goes to work. Let's keep it real.
Lisa Gallo's sister was highly bothered that it didn't get released early.
Do you know her name?
Yes.
What is it? What is Lisa Gallo's sister's name, Shane? Oh my God.
I know her name, Sam.
You clearly don't remember her name. This is going to be heartbreaking for her as she listens to this, but it's going to be hilarious to the rest of our audience. You got this. You got this. I'm not going to give you a hint.
Andrea.
Yes. Okay.
Got it. Come on,
I did not give him a hint. I actually just told him the name. So.
It's the same as our friend Sonny, Andrea.
Oh, there's Drew. Shane, do you want to just go and introduce yourself as the owner?
No, I know her before. Sam, you gotta chill.
I know, but I'm trying to get like an A-lister on here to give us some clout and...
No, she doesn't want to do it. Is that her?
It's her. Wow.
Celebrities
are so much smaller in person. They look so big and commanding on the screen.
She looks good.
Can you give me 2 more minutes? Just because I don't think we have enough yet.
So basically, I want to once again wish everybody a happy 4th of July, and I want to thank Rob for coming on, spending so much time on our podcast. It's really, really great conversation, and I hope everybody enjoys part 2.
I feel like I'm in Howard Stern, but without the curse words.
Right. So, but he curses a lot.
I do curse too much,
curse
more
a lot
than I
off air, but not on here. But podcast is like an old school radio show.
It is.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Before television, this is what people did.
But they're unlimited stations now,
right?
Which makes choice very difficult.
Now, right, because before you would have just a few radio
10 wins. You had Imus, you had Howard Stern.
Right.
You have My Favorite Husband. Do you get that reference?
No. I went over my head.
So this is, I think one of the most interesting facts I read about you was that your dad sold reruns of I Love Lucy.
Yes, he did. I was third generation entertainment, and my son is 4th generation entertainment. And I still view myself as Blade. I'm still in the entertainment business.
Yes.
No kidding.
His whole background is Sony, Warner Brothers.
I'm all about
storyteller,
and that's why I think about your brand, because people, you never hear people talk about I took this great NetJets, I took this great wheels up. He's like, oh my God, I bladed here, I bladed there, and went to the lounge. I had this great experience, and this was cool, and this happened. A lot of surprise and delight. You always got to make it a little interesting for people.
What did you do before Blade?
I was CFO of Sony on the entertainment side of music, movies, PlayStation, electronics, and then also my last job was I was COO of Warner Music Group.
Mm-hmm. No kidding.
Yeah, it was always entertainment, and I still
and
everybody
I knew
says,
that because I did some research.
And I've shot 22 TV commercials for Blade.
Yep.
And
that's why they're so good.
No one ever did any TV commercials for a helicopter company or aviation. So I think it was it's been a great outlet for me creatively, which people say, how could this be creative? I'm like, it is.
Well, I saw the teaser for the bus.
Oh yeah, you like that?
My God, great? I'm like, I gotta get on this bus. I mean, he really made it look like you have to like how do you get on? It's like a VIP rope to get on. I don't know. It looked really cool.
You always say to the marketing people, you just crack it wide open. If it looks like it's been done, I think a lot of marketing. I think the problem is it's just same thing with movies. People look at what was done before. You can't look at what was done before. You have to crack it open and say, like, how do I want to do it? How is this going to be not different for the sake of being different, but how can you make it just take another angle of it? So I say crack it open, see what else is in this mix, and to create an emotional connection with the people. And that, at the end of the day, the whole thing is like telling a story is an emotional connect. Can you make that emotional connection with the person who's watching it? And that's what I try to do with it. And I mean, it's really enjoyable. It's very rewarding.
Yeah. It's funny you said I Love Lucy. I brought I Love Lucy up yesterday. A friend of mine's daughter was homesick, and then everybody was talking about like their experience of when they were a child of being homesick from school. And I said the only thing I can remember is watching reruns of I Love Lucy when I was.
Me too.
Yeah,
it's the most significant.
And it was that was.
It's been the most significant inspiration for me. Okay, Shane, I'm in the middle of the sentence.
Bought the rights to that?
No, he was an employee. He was an employee for Telepictures, which became Lorimar. Telepictures became part of Time Warner, and he just, that's right.
Brokered the sales.
Yeah, he'd go down. There were TV stations down there, and they licensed.
Lucy and Desi own the rights. That's actually one of the most fascinating things about how groundbreaking they were in the television industry. But they were like the first sitcom to shoot on film, because they wanted to record it in LA in front of a live audience, but then have the prints to rerun it in New York. And it was way more expensive. So their deal with, I think, CBS was, if we'll take a major pay cut, but we get to own the negative, the print. And they didn't even know what reruns were at the time.
The business, if you take a look at the people who make money in the music business, it's always the people who own the intellectual property, not the people who perform.
Right.
The intellectual property lasts for a lifetime. The performance is just that moment in time. And it's the same thing with, on the music side. And
you hear like the Beatles are selling there, or people are selling there.
Merv Griffin.
And Taylor Swift. Look at this huge scandal with,
Yeah, Merv Griffin, he had Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, all these different shows. And I remember looking at where Sony to buy it, and I think they eventually did buy it, Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, everything. Just to give you a sense, when they looked at it to buy it, I think it was literally they paid $40 million. Now, the slot machine rights for Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune are worth more than what the company paid for. Think about it. The slot machine rights to play that music and have it on the top of the slot machine. So you never know this intellectual property where it can be used. Mm-hmm. Whether it's like you're talking about Michael Jackson, which I was actually involved with for many, many years. They have the Cirque du Soleil show. They had books. They have tons of movies, and
Shane's probably not aware of it. I don't know if he read the contract that I drafted before we started this, but I basically own his likeness and image in perpetuity. So when this show hits, I can basically I'm working on a hologram already of Shane Dykman.
Kidding?
Nope. I own you.
I don't have the contract. Did I sign a contract?
Yes, you did, via DocuSign. So I own the likeness and image of Shane Dykman and Sagtown in this entertainment space.
That's cool.
Sorry, Charlie. Didn't you send a fax to Michael Jackson once?
I did send, yes. At Neverland, believe it or not, years ago.
So you hand wrote something and you put it in the fax machine and
bankrupt?
So we had a joint venture. We had Sony and Michael Jackson. It was 50-50. He bought the Beatles catalog. And what's kind of interesting is that Paul McCartney, who's obviously local out here too.
Good friend.
Paul McCartney got to a certain amount of money on the bid and said, I'm not going to pay for this much. Michael Jackson paid more than the guy who wrote the Lennon-McCartney songs, which has kind of been crazy. And so he passed. Michael bought it. It became worth literally $1 billion within a decade or so. Instead of, I think, might have paid 40 or 50 million for it, and half of it was owned by Sony. But then Michael kept putting debt on it on his share.
What do you
And
mean? He was
so-
like pulling money out,
Yeah,
like
it was pulling
refining a
money.
house kind of deal?
He was buying. The amount of spending he was doing was
Like
insane.
a roller coaster.
It was insane. It was Bubbles the chimp and
yeah.
Neverland
and Macaulay Culkin.
And so I basically couldn't get in touch with him, and I sent him a fax, and I said, look, I will help you figure out this bankruptcy thing. Because he hated Sony at the time, and he said, go meet me in Bahrain, and no one wanted to see him go bankrupt because it would make a mess for the rights. And the security guys at Sony said, you can't go to Bahrain, you can go to Dubai. I said, this guy is not going to go to Dubai. And he said, no, you can't go to Bahrain. So I said, I can't go to Bahrain, but I'll meet you in Dubai. And I was worried about him showing up, so I flew all the way out there. And I remember being in a conference room. It was a half hour late, and I'm like, I'm screwed. This guy is not showing up. And then a half hour later, he showed up with his team. I'm like, thank God. And then we restructured him, and it all worked out for his family, for his estate. And now the estate is kind of incredible. And you think about the kind of culture we're in right now, obviously, it's interesting, but this whole question about the work of an artist versus if that artist did something in the view of the world doing something bad, right? And obviously he was acquitted, so I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But the work does transcend. It does transcend. For someone who's really good, it transcends. People, they don't stop playing Michael Jackson.
Right.
I mean, there was that one guy, I forget what it was.
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly. So if you take a look at R. Kelly, which is obviously that was convictions and everything, but their music stops, right? On that.
Right. It's over.
But this is Michael Jackson is part of the Great American Songbook. You're going to be listening to that for 30, 40, 50 years.
And
there was a comedy
well
skit.
deserved. Music, the integrity of that art doesn't change because the artist is problematic. But there are so many DJs or people, that will ban or refuse to play Michael Jackson because of, the allegations. And it's unfortunate that an artist's
overall,
contributions are overshadowed.
The guys who run the estate, John Branca, who's the lawyer who runs the estate, he just plowed through that. Everyone said the movie won't get made, the shows won't get made, and the Michael Jackson show, you don't hear a word about banning it or boycotting.
Right, because he's that legendary. It's a different stratosphere.
It's interesting.
Yeah, he's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Right. Shane has some pretty iconic musician friends that I just learned about, but we won't talk about that on air.
No,
we won't.
In the East End of Long Island, and more so than there's a lot of famous people that come through this coffee shop, but more so on a more intimate level was my surf school and my fishing program for kids. There would be some, most famous woman maybe in the world and some monster actresses, and their kids would come to surf camp, or I would teach them surfing. And for me, it doesn't matter to me who you are, really. You pretty much get treated the same way. So I got a lot of respect from those people from that. There was one monster actress. I didn't even know who she was. She went by a different name, and she always wore a hat. And for some reason, she would never buy a non-resident beach sticker. So I would have to literally pick her up at Southampton Hospital, and her kid, and drive her. And I didn't know who she was. And
Gwyneth?
No, I'm not going to say who it is, but and I had no idea. And she was a nice woman, and she was like, "Oh, can you pick me up?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." And this would go on for, it was the second season came around. She's like, "Can you pick me up?" And I'm like, for the love of God. And I'm like, "Yeah." And then so we were talking, dropped the kid at camp, and I was like, "So what do you do?" And she's like, "Are you kidding?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Are you really that clueless?" I'm like, "That clueless about what?" And she was like, "I'm so-and-so." And I was like, and she goes, "You still don't know?" And I was like, "Oh, you made that Airplane movie." And she goes, "That was
Kate Blanchett?
She was like, "That's my worst movie." And that was the
What
only one I
Airplane
knew.
movie? Well, that's a
It doesn't
big
matter. I
hint.
don't want to say. I would
bleep
never
it.
drop names. You're not going to get it even if you hit it. She's one of the most famous actresses of all time.
I think it's interesting.
Okay.
There are a lot of talent out here, so to speak, actresses, writers, actors, and that who were really part of the local community, who like just kind of hang out and just.
Yeah.
And the one I missed the most, it was a friend of all of us. It was Jimmy Buffett, and like he was really like, I'd see him, he'd come by the house. He'd become he loved sailing. He'd rowboat with his 2 dogs. He'd play at Talk House.
So he'd jump up with my friend's surfer band on multiple occasions. He loved these guys. These guys play like, real surf music.
What's surf music?
Kind of like Dick Dale and like a slide guitar. It's like kind of a traditional 60s kind of sound, surf music. It's now since crossed over to Jack Johnson and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, he would jump up on stage with them whenever he could.
And you talk about a man of the people, it sounds like, cliche, but he really was just talk to anybody. He was great, and now his wife is a powerhouse. That whole
he had a seaplane, right?
Oh, he loved. Yeah, that's how we kind of met. Was through a little bit through aviation and through his wife Jamie, and their neighbors are on. They were down the water in North Haven. And, that music's going to continue. I mean, that is, again, they had the culture, that whole, I think they're doing something out here for, like, Parrot Head stuff, like, in a couple weeks. It's a huge community of people who loved his music and go to his concerts, and I think they're going to continue. I think it's
that's
legacy.
Like, I mean, he's going to get, it's
I always say, I didn't come up with this saying, but someone once said, like, the Hamptons is a small pond with the biggest fish in the world, and it's true. Like, it's such a high concentration of titans of industry and extremely successful or, accomplished people, but it's such a small town community, so everyone kind of has access to these people, and when you get to know them, they're just regular, normal people. But
Shane, do you think, it's interesting, but do you think you talked about coffee? We should have talked about people. Since you started this in 2010, was it?
12.
What about the people? Have the people changed in your mind? Is it different, or is it just the same, as we say, same shit, different price?
Oh, it's definitely, it's changed quite a bit. I mean, I think that the just amount of people and how much it has grown is the real change. There used to be a real local mentality. Like there was like the locals and then like the summer people. And there used to be a big like, not clash, but there was always like, oh God, summer people, but now there's so many people that have moved into this area, even more so on a year-round basis, that it's a lot more blended than it used to be.
And also a lot of the people who are the local politicians, when I started coming out here years ago, you never heard of someone who 20 years ago was in the city, who was in local politics.
Right.
They always were Bonnickers who were out here the entire lives. Now you see that kind of bleeding into a little bit where you actually seeing some, like a mix.
Yeah.
It's not just the old farm families and the guys who've been it forever. I think, which is, I think is healthy.
I think I think that the mix is good and it's helping, move it in the right direction. Like I was trying to say to Sam before, like nothing stays the same. And like for good or bad, you have to evolve with it. And I think that's what's happening with the with the community here, and
especially in our business,
it's getting way more diverse.
You got to serve the people. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And then you appreciate the people that patronize your business all year round, right? And you know who those faces are.
Yeah.
That come in February and they're there on a Saturday night, and then they come back in the summer, and you kind of try and.
I don't care what business you're in. We would not be able to survive without the summer residents.
No.
And I mean, forget it. And then you see these, I mean, from every single part of this community relies on that those summer months.
Yeah, I don't mind it's just the influx of like crowds and traffic and
it's so exciting.
Some of the people in August too, that aren't part of the community are just awful entitled people, and you experience that in hospitality.
That's New Yorkers in general.
Yeah, it's
part of the fun.
Temporary. It's true.
It's part of the fun.
It gives us something to talk about for the rest of the year.
Yeah, well, Shane smacks them around. He doesn't take any crap from anybody.
No.
But I think what's interesting also is that, in which we probably need to do a better job in terms of hospitality, explaining to people. If you think about, you're in the restaurant business, at the end of the day, people go to his restaurant, on a Friday night in July 4th. Oh my God, these guys are killing it. It's X $100 for dinner this night. They don't realize that there are 11 nights a year that he makes money.
Correct.
In other words, it sounds like if people go to these restaurants, think, oh my God, they charge so much. They must be making a killing. And no, you're employing people year round.
Right.
You're made the decision to serve the community year round. You're not closing up, and all they see is that one weekend they go out where they can't get a reservation and they're spending, $40 on a drink or something. I'm not saying you're charged $40.
No, not 40. Not yet.
Okay,
It's more.
But it's more exactly. And it is expensive, but you have such a finite time to actually.
That's why you
Right.
see large turnovers, and not as much as before, because there's like people that are buying these restaurants and opening them. They're well funded, but there's a lot of people that come out here and they see it and they want a piece of it, and then they sign these ridiculous leases,
Right.
and then they really realize very quickly, like, oh my God, and lose a lot of money.
Well, I think that's a challenge for someone like Shane or people in the restaurant business who aren't just doing this as like a trophy property, because they are the people who are buying restaurants as kind of trophy properties. They're untethered from any known economic model. So they can pay a fortune for a dishwasher, a fortune for staff. They can do a build out that costs $20 million because they don't care if they have any return.
Right.
So if you actually are doing it as a business, how you compete with that,
You can't.
It's insane.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy because, as you know, they're not going to name them, but there are a lot of trophy restaurants where people just decided, like, I want
a vanity
restaurant.
project.
It's a vanity project.
And then they buy a motel for staff.
Yeah.
It's incredible. They buy an old motel and they turn it into staff housing.
And now we're talking about.
No, there's one in. I don't know what he owns. It doesn't matter. But
should we play the F, Marry, Kill game?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
it.
So Sam came up with this.
I did not come up with the concept, but I applied it to restaurants instead of people.
I bow
F,
out
marry,
of this
kill.
because I'm in the industry and
As am
I
I,
never want to slander anybody's hard
not
work. So I
slandering.
don't. Whatever you want to use it, but Sam likes it and it's been fun. So I'm gonna let him take over. There you go,
Essentially,
Rob. Ready? He's very
F,
he's
marry,
looking-
kill, or shag, marry, kill, where you name 3 people and one you have to shag, one you have to marry, and one you have to kill.
shag, marry, kill. Okay.
But we
All right.
apply it to restaurants. So, like last week we did. Are you shushing me? Is someone
No,
in
I
here?
was blowing a kiss to somebody. Actually,
Who were you blowing a kiss to?
Doesn't matter.
No, it certainly matters,
No,
Shane.
it wasn't a kiss. It was like a bite.
So
Anyway,
essentially, we pick 3 restaurants. So I'll just pick at random, like Estia's Little Kitchen, Bistro Ete, and Sen.
Okay.
And you have to choose one that you would have some
Marry.
fun with in the bedroom, one that you would marry, and then one that you would do away
Okay.
with.
So, all right. So the first one was what?
Estia's Little
Okay.
Kitchen.
Marry.
next. Nice.
What were the other ones? Bistro Ete and Sen.
Bistro Te, kill.
Nice.
And Sen, what was it? Shag.
Shag. Okay.
Yeah, that's probably where.
Okay.
All right.
I would, I'd probably shag Bistro Ete.
Oh my
Because
God.
it's definitely like a sexy little place, and it's chef owned, and I feel like I've had like champagne and caviar there. It could be like a wild romp.
Yeah.
I would do away with or kill Estias, and I would marry Sen for like the traditional,
Really?
values.
You kill Estias? Why?
Well, because I have to. I love Estias, but like it's the one that has to go of the 3.
Rob,
Take
thank you
care.
very
Thank
much.
you.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Let me
Rob.
get your acai bowl. If
All
it's
right.
melted, I make you a new
Oh
one.
my God, your mother's iced coffee too. We got to get.
Well, we'll
Oh,
make
this
you a
is
fresh
Lisa
one.
Gallo, by the way.
What did you want? What kind of milk was
This is
that?
the Airbnb Trailblazer. Your name came up quite a bit. Yes, as it always does.
This episode is brought to you by roofinginthehamptons.com. For the fastest, cheapest roof in the area, whether it be asphalt, cedar, metal, or flat roofing. Our team of 13 roofers gets the job done, and we have fun doing it in the spirit of service. Check out our videos and testimonials at roofinginthehamptons.com. And while you're at it, follow our wonderful and talented producer Sam on Instagram at I am Sam Pez, and send him a message to tell him how much you love this show.